Hi, and welcome to Make More Money Now. This week's edition is going to be exciting when I know Patti Pokorchak, my co-host, has got a little surprise planned for you. So I'm going to flip it over to her right now. Patti, take it away.
Thank you, Gerry. And yeah, the surprise might be on you as well. But I'll start with sharing my screen because I did pretty slides this week. I was a little bit more from the current slide. Oops, here we go. Oops. Of course, this is always. Here we go. Let's do this. So 2 weeks ago, I started talking about how to find new clients because that's where in the B2B space, most entrepreneurs go, where do I start? Especially with the pandemic and there's no place to in person. So this is your part two. So much like Gerry, sales and marketing is not just one little 10-minute clip and you're a master at it. It's an ongoing process. Oops. And when I was going through some old presentations to come up with material for this week, things that you might hear, especially if you're a bit older, you'll hear about the 4 P's of marketing, and now there's 6 P's and 7 P's and 8 P's of marketing, and they talk about product, price, packaging. But I just thought, sorry about that. I just thought this was a funny cartoon where the 4 P's are please, 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 please. And if you don't know how to sell and market and you hadn't had enough sales and marketing training, this is might be your approach of begging. And the whole thing is, when you're in an entrepreneur and maybe you're not a sales and marketing pro, but you should never be groveling. You should never be desperate for the business because people sense your desperation. So you always have to appear to them as equals. So this is what not to do. Don't grovel, okay? So when I left you 2 weeks ago, I left you with some homework to do, which is, go back to your past clients, because selling to previous clients is like 10 times easier than finding new clients. And a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners, they don't know that. And if you don't know that, you might tend to neglect. If you don't have a really good sales and marketing process to attract new clients and keep track of them and nurture them, and then continue nurturing them, because they are your best source for future clients and future business. So this was your homework, and it was like, go out, contact them, see what happens. I bet this is what happened. It's like, I asked you to do the impossible, because it was like, maybe picking up the phone and talking to people. And that might sound scary. So I came up with a list of, so what, again, I can't give you all in my 40 years of experience all in one. So I thought we'll break this down step by step. And so here are some potential questions to ask. I'm not a believer in scripts at all, but it's nice to have like these 5 questions, like, first of all, ask about them. My secret sauce, when I had deconstructed how I sold millions around the world in 2 languages, is to be curious and caring. And that's not really rocket science, is it? That doesn't mean you have to, being the slick salesperson and talking a lot is not the way to get new clients. So asking caring questions, which is number 1, again, in these pandemic times, where the world has been turned on its head. It's like, how have you been coping? How have you been doing? What have you used? Like, be curious about, so how has this affected your home life? How has it affected your business? How are your employees? Like, really be curious about that and talk personally. Because I think the world has changed, the world of business. The work from home phenomena is not going to go away. So then you go, so anyways, what are you looking forward to? What's new and exciting? What's not so exciting? Because the not so exciting can be an opportunity, as well as the what's so new and exciting. What are your challenges? And again, just being curious. And that's where, as Gerry well forecasted, is the elephant comes in. Remember, selling is listening, active listening, and one question leads to another. And that's why it can't be scripted. So in the small mouth is really, you're only there to really listen and ask questions, and say as little as you have to. And you just go through this for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Hopefully you've sent them an email, said, let's chat, 15-minute catch-up chat. Want to hear what's new with you, want to explain what's new for me. You better have something new, because otherwise you're stale and out of date. And then finally, at the end is like, who else needs me? Who do you know that, in my case or Gerry's cases, who's got a crappy website, whose sales have plateaued? Who needs me? Ask for the referral. And it's just like, hey, who do you know? And then you say, hey, I'm going to send you a little referral blurb. So you could just send it forward on to make it easy for them. So these are great questions that you can ask your past clients, and even, future ones. So say you get a referral. Okay, so Gerry's referred me to his pal, John Smith. Okay, so, oops. And again, this is probably the biggest stopper for most people. People that remember these kinds of phones, you're the ones I'm really talking to, because, and even the ones that only have cell phones, picking up the phone and talking to people is the biggest fear I find most new entrepreneurs and small business owners have. And they're very reluctant to do it. And they're really reluctant to do it more than once to the same person. And don't forget, you need 5, 10, 15, 20 touches, which means if you leave a voicemail, then you should send an email immediately. That's 2 touches. Repeat 10 times for that one client. So this is the surprise for Gerry, okay? Is I thought, well, I could talk about this and go, yeah. But it's nothing quite as good as actually doing a role play. And the emphasis is on the play. And what I recommend is that you find somebody, a trusted advisor, a mentor, a colleague, a friend, a business friend, somebody that you can practice with. The biggest crime, in my opinion, is entrepreneurs and pretend salespeople. They practice on their clients, and that's a crime. It really is, because to get the fluency, and you'll see, you'll probably, we haven't rehearsed this. He didn't even know we're doing a role play. Like, he's the other part, because I'm going to pick up my phone and call Gerry. And just so I'll set the scenario is, John Smith. We'll use John Smith as our common friend, and I've been working with John, and he says Gerry really needs your help. He sucks at sales. Okay, but of course I'm not going to tell John. I'm not going to tell Gerry that. So just to keep so John Smith is our common friend, common client, and he's referred me to Gerry. So I'm going to go ring ring. Hello, Gerry. It's Patti.
Hey, Patti.
Good morning. Your friend John Smith recommended that I call you. That he thinks that maybe you could benefit from my business consulting. What I do is I've been working with John for about 6 months now, and I help increase his sales by about 20-25% just by giving him some basic sales knowledge and sales experience. I'm just wondering, have you had extensive sales training at all?
Well, I've never had any formal training. And by the way, John was telling me that he's seen some great results from you. So that's great that he sent you my way. I'm doing okay. I've never had any formal sales training. I sort of feel comfortable in some situations, but not in all of them. So I probably could use a little help, a broader understanding of how to convert people into customers, because I'm not that great at it.
Okay, that's interesting. So you recognize there are some stumbling blocks, like you're saying, is that when it comes down to actually asking for the order, is that where you feel you need some help?
Yeah, I kind of dread that part. I'm always sort of hoping that, when I'm talking to a prospect, that somehow the prospect gets it and doesn't force me to ask that daunting question and ask for the order. So I kind of avoid that, to be honest.
Okay. Well, part of my job is to make you feel comfortable with the whole sales process, and actually to win more clients is you ask better questions right up front, and they will lead you where they say, okay, how do we get started? That's really what you want to hear from that prospective client. My experience, not that I go a lot, but the only time when people throw money at you is in strip clubs usually. So it happens occasionally, but it's only if you've really prepared the ground carefully. And it's by asking good questions. When you bring in the elephant with the big ears, small mouth, really what a lot of sales professionals need to learn, and especially entrepreneurs, is that sales is listening, not speaking. So the better questions you ask up front, the easier it is. And I was not a born sales professional, and I learned to sell when I made the selling my own style. And that's really what I teach you, is some of the basics of, asking for the orders, like, what do you think of my proposal?
So let me ask you this. One of the problems I have right out of the gate is I'll get a call from someone who's heard about me, and they'll call in, and I'll pick up the phone. I find myself, I start answering their questions. Like I don't even get a chance to listen. They just start, what about this? What about that? And I find that I answer the questions. I feel totally out of control. Like, how do you get yourself in a position where you can take control of the conversation and turn things around and ask them those questions that we want to ask them?
Yeah, that's great. That's a great point, Gerry. I will do a timeout and go, before I start, especially when they ask about price right up front, it's like, oh, wait a minute. How long is a piece of string? I can give you a ballpark, and generally it's, this to this, because people have a mental budget. You want to make sure you haven't got the beer budget when you're the champagne and premium product. So you want to make sure that they're slightly qualified right from the beginning. And you just sort of go, before, we get into the nitty gritty, is, can I ask some questions about you? And that will get them relaxed. And they go, because people don't care about you until you show you care about them. So
that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, and it's just stopping them, and it's a disruption. But that's why selling is asking questions, and you control and guide the path of the sales process through the use of questions. But you've got to be in charge of the questions.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm missing, is that lack of control. But what you just said, that gives me that tells me how to kind of take control of the call. And I guess from there, really, you can go in a lot of different directions that you want to go to kind of find out if they're really qualified to be a customer, and
That's right.
if you can help them.
That's right. That's right. And that's when people call you. But if you're calling them, you should have done your homework and have some kind of trigger event. Are they going through a merger? Have they just had a big layoff? Are they, is their website dated 2010 copyright, that type of giveaway, when you can tell that they're struggling. So you have to have done your homework, and then you just want to get their personal feel of, what are their priorities? Because they might have 10 fires to put out, but you can only put out one fire at a time. And you have to figure out, well, if your fire is number 2 or 3, or otherwise you have to call them back in 6 months. So it's some really good questions, Gerry. And at the end, it's just kind of like, well, do you think I can help you?
Well, I think that for me right now, Patti, I've come through a kind of a tough year. Sales have not been where I need them to be. So I definitely need some help. Like, how do we even get started? Do you do different programs? Do we work one-on-one? Like, how does it work? Because I've never worked with a sales consultant before, so I have no idea how it works.
Yeah, I'm more than just a sales consultant. I try to, we figure out, where do you want to go? What are your goals for your business? Who's your ideal market? Are they the right ones based on different variables? So we set some KPIs, like what are indicators of success? Is it I don't work with contracts, so it's very much, pay a month in advance for the coaching and see how it goes. And typically ask for a 3 to 6 month commitment, because it does take a little bit of time, but a lot of clients see results fairly, really quickly. So it's really up to you. Typically the best results come with weekly 1-hour coaching, and yeah, you get homework and you get things to do and you report in and you're being held accountable and you're learning skills every week and you just increase and then you get to practice it. Because again, practice makes perfect. But anyways, Gerry, thanks for your time. We're gonna what about we set up a time next week and we'll get started.
Yep, that sounds good.
Excellent.
Let's give it a try.
All right. Thanks, Gerry. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Patti. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a strange role play because we know each other and but I guess you can see how it was just a natural conversation. You know, that's what I'm saying is have fun with it, practice it, and it gets better. And having, as I said, Gerry and he had no idea I was going to pull this on him, but role playing is super important when it comes to sales, that you ask the right questions, that you deal with the unexpected. So how much do you charge? It's like, well, you know, how long is a piece of string? You know, I don't know what you need yet. So let's find more detail. Let me know more, but you better. And I think people people love to talk about themselves. They love to talk about their successes and their challenges. And so you give them that box, that soapbox, and they will tell you what they need. So at the end, they kind of go, how do we get started? But even asking for the orders, just like, do you think I can help you? Do you think you would benefit from this service? And then shut up. I mean, you ask a question, let them answer. It's only polite. Oh,
I think just before we move on, Patti, one of the things that I hope our viewers picked up on was how that was really a sales conversation, but it was just back and forth and asking questions, no really intimidation. As you said, I didn't know where you were going to go, but I was just, what you were hearing from me was things that I have been thinking about, right? And we always take our businesses with us, no matter what we're doing. So those questions are always kind of in the forefront of our mind. So when somebody starts asking us carefully crafted questions to bring that out, it's very natural just to
yeah.
reply. And you know, if you're dealing with somebody who you feel comfortable with, it's very natural just to respond, right? And those are the cues that you as a salesperson can pick up on to gauge just, you know, where to go next and what question ask next. But again, maintaining the control and just letting the person talk.
Yeah, yeah, and you gave me the little clues of, you know, you're having some challenges with closing. And in my experience is you start setting the scene right at the beginning by the questions. And like you say, is that, yeah, when people call you, they've got their set of questions because they're calling two or three other of your competitors. And so they want to go through their things to compare the two of you. And it's like, no, 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 no. Let me guide this conversation to where I know what pays my bills, okay? And that's where you show your difference by calling stop. We're not doing this feature by feature because it's in a service-based business or even in a product, you know, if you're selling networking equipment or generators, right, that need a certain amount of expertise to install and properly, you know, configure the system. I just read a statistics on the LinkedIn sales blog is that apparently 43% of IT managers would prefer not to speak to a sales rep, which is horrifying. But 23% of them have more buyer's regret when they don't. So it's sales reps do have a place. Qualified, trained, perceptive sales reps have a place in the industry, but they have to be more than just, you know, rote sellers just trying to get rid of box pushers, as we used to call them. Yeah. So I don't know what's wrong with this with my PowerPoint here. I will questions. So there we go. Role play. Why are you going? Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me just go to this. Start processing current slide. So nope, it's not happening. Okay, there we go. I think you can still see it. So it says how to start prospecting. So I thought, well, I'll give you a little step-by-step guide, and it's about scripting your opening blurb because you're not going to always have referrals. I mean, it's easy when you say, hey, you know, Gerry said to call you, but that's why you need to practice with a trusted mentor, friend, colleague, because you do it a couple of times and it just loosens up what I call mouth memory, right? So the other one is just, pick up the darn phone, and be ready to leave a voicemail. And again, have a, I number them, 1 to 5. Is have 5 different messages, and have a complimentary email ready to send to that person at the same time. So as soon as you hang up, send the email. So they get that double thing.
Patti, one of the things that I wanted to ask you about was the with the voicemails. There's so much voicemail in play that that we're up against today. So what are your thoughts on leaving a voicemail that piques curiosity and really using it as a sales tool, as opposed to, hi, I'm just Gerry Black calling from Marketing Writer, and I want to, what are your thoughts on how far can you go with a voicemail?
Be passionate, enthusiastic about what you're selling and why it's important for that person to call you back. So have a sense of urgency. The challenger sale is lead with insight. So have a little, I helped your friend John Smith, increase revenue by 25%. He's a big fan of mine. He said, yeah, I should call you. So that's a really good one. The second one is, your friend John Smith, he, increases revenue 25%, and he's loving learning sales now instead of hating it. And so you just have, 5 different ones that you leave. And again, your email is like 3 sentences, and it says, hey, and it repeats it basically, but it makes them delete your voicemail and your email. So that's 2 times they go, oh, Gerry, Gerry, oh, Gerry again, oh, Gerry. Hey, this guy's pretty persistent. And people want to see that you're not just there for the fast and easy, the low hanging fruit of, maybe I'll get lucky. If I ask 100 people, 1 will buy my product. So leaving something short, concise, and maybe even a bit funny, like, have you got the long weekend hangover? It's not, it feels like a Monday, but it's really a Tuesday. I don't know, just anything to make it interesting. Bored people, confused people do not buy. So be somebody they want to do business with, light them up, make them like that. I know people say to me, I've got a lot of energy, and it's like, I give that out, I give that to others. So be the person they want to see and go, hey, Patti's here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to close this off, is that fear is the biggest stopper of sales. The fear to pick up the phone, the fear to feel like you're salesy or that you're bothering people, is that until they tell you to stop, is like, just keep going and just assume that now is not the right time. Tony Robbins says it's best, the only way through fear is massive action. And that, once I heard that, I went, that's the reason for my success. Because I was a shy, insecure geek, right? I was anything but a natural born salesperson. I was scared a lot. But I also, first generation immigrant's daughter, I was paid to do a job. So I went and did it no matter how afraid I was. So that massive action led me to evolve to my own personal style. And I've had this style, which is now on trend for the last, 3 decades. All I can say is the first kind of 100 calls are hard, and then it gets easy. So just do it. There is no shortcut. I wish there was a magic wand I could give you. Even get your own elephant to remind you that, elephants, have long memories and they're resilient, and so can you be. And once you get that first 100 done, then it becomes part of your daily job. So just do it. Be like Nike. That's it. Do the game.
That's great advice. It sounds great. And a big part of doing it is to believe in yourself and believe in your product or service, right? Somebody told me years and years ago, if you have a product or a service that can change somebody's life for the better, it's your duty to tell as many people as you can about it. And I truly believe that.
Yeah. So, well, that's my first thing. That sales is being of service to others. You're there to help. And if they don't know that you exist and that you can help them, you're doing a disservice to them. So always, yeah, be in that, when I started out, is be on par with them, that you're there to help them as an equal. You're not subservient and you're not over them. It just be there as their equal. And yeah, you just do it. So
Great. Thanks, Patti.
all right, Gerry. And so next week you're up, and we're going to go to part 2 of
Part
getting
2. Hey, did you like my little, that was a great show. One thing that comes across today, like